Hello, this is Chris from JPBM, and this video is titled, Why Can't Japanese People Walk? And in parentheses, or ride a bike. Uh, Kind of a weird, I guess, stereotype, but it has to be mentioned, it has to be said. Um, there's so many times where you just be walking and then someone just runs into you. And sometimes they don't even recognize that they just hit a solid object. Just just keep walking. Um, so I've been wanting to make this video for a while because it just happens. It's almost every day, and it's really never happened to me in America. And some people say like, oh, maybe it's a big city issue. Like there's a lot of people, and I'm sure that adds to it somewhat. But there's got to be more to it than just like it's a big city, so people are just they just can't get by. So today I'm dropping off something at my girlfriend's apartment, which is a 10-minute bike ride away. And I know there's fucking people who can't fucking ride their bikes, who can't walk on the sidewalk. So I try to stick to the street, and then when I can, I get on if it looks okay. And I'm fucking riding my bike on the sidewalk, and there's an old man up in front of me just riding his bike. And then, like, I'm like, okay, I gotta pass him on his right. And then as soon as I'm past him, he's just like, and he almost hits me. It's like, what the fuck? You were riding straight, and then all of a sudden you can't ride anymore? You fucking forgot how to ride a bike? Okay. It's like, oh, that's just one instance. It's not a big deal. So then on the way back, kind of close to the same spot, across the street, I'm riding on the sidewalk, and there's some fucking woman walking towards me, and I'm like, she's gonna fucking forget how to walk. And she steps in front of me and is just like looking at the ground, like, it's not my fault, help, blah, blah. And I just, at this point, I'm just always pissed. So I'm just like, what, you don't know how to fucking walk? Learn how to fucking walk, you stupid bitch. Which is annoying, because that's one thing they always praise Japan about. Oh, it's such a nice, great country. It's real tight and compact and clean and full of fun, friendly people. You can just walk to any destination. You don't have to ride in a car. You don't have to take a cab. You can just hop on your bike, and 10 minutes later, you're in a whole new area of town. Well, that would be fun if I didn't constantly have people running into me, riding out in front of me and just stopping, walking out in front of me, and then I'm not looking. It happens all the time. And I don't think it's genetic. I don't think there's any gene that just says, hey, walk out in front of people and just stop. Like, that wouldn't make sense. You would die evolutionarily. Hey, there's a tiger. I'm just gonna pretend I don't see it. He'll go away. So I remember one thing. My dad came to visit me. This was, I guess, the first time maybe. And I remember he was like, Christian, are there people like running into me? I'm like, oh yeah, they do that. And he's like, is it like a racist thing? I'm like, oh no, they just don't know how to walk. He's like, oh, okay. Like he was so confused, like people just running into you. And here's the thing about Japan, nobody ever says sorry. Nobody gives a shit. And here's the thing about Osaka, they're all self-absorbed. They don't give a fuck about anyone but themselves here. It'd be something different if they bumped into you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't see you. I'm so sorry. That'd be more of an American way of handling that situation. But here, I don't, unless I've glared at someone or stared them down like, what the fuck is wrong with you? They've never said I'm sorry. They don't give a shit. Some people here, I guarantee you, do it just to get kicks. I'll give you some examples of this. So here's, I guess, when we first kind of started noticing this, and I wish I would have known back when I lived in Kawagoe, because I don't know if it's a Japan thing, I don't know if it's an Osaka thing, I don't know why anyone would do it, but I would have paid more attention in Kawagoe to people's walking patterns, their gait, like, but I didn't know back then. I'm not gonna move back to Kawagoe for like 7 years and be like, oh, the walking is okay here. Like that's just that's not gonna happen. So we would always discuss like, yeah, people just run into you here, and our joke is like, all right, but get ready to square your shoulders at this area because people don't give a fuck. They're just gonna ram into you. So, but then here's some examples of just me personally. So, when I started noticing it, I would purposely let people run into me just so I could gather knowledge and data on this. Like in America, I would never do this, but in Japan, you're like, nobody's going to tell you about the inability to walk, the walking habits of the locals. So you got to fucking learn for yourself. So I would just let people run into me, and I'm like, okay, it's entitled women and short guys mainly. So let's see. I remember the first time I was like, okay, I was walking from my apartment to Shinsaibashi, which you probably don't know what any of this shit means, but it's about a 45-minute walk, but I mean, not too bad. And let's see. There was a woman walking across the street facing me, and I was like, I'm not going to break eye contact with her because I guarantee you she's going to try and run into me. And the whole time she's walking straight towards me, and I'm just like, all right, we'll see what happens here. And then as soon as she gets to me, she's like, whoop, skirts around. Oh, okay, you're just doing it for fun. Okay. The next light I get to, it's a red light, and it's a bigger street. And I catch eyes with the woman across the street from me there. And she's not even directly in front of me. She's like a little bit to the side. I'm like, oh, she's gonna do the same thing. But it was a long fucking light. And I'm like, I really don't want to stare at you. I don't even really want to look at you. I'm like listening to music and shit. I don't want to look at you for like a minute while I wait for the light to change. So I'm like looking at her, and then I like look at my phone, and then I like look up. I'm like, oh, she's still looking at. She's definitely gonna run into me. But then I look from her perspective. It's like, oh, this guy's a fucking bitch. I can run into him all I want. I'm like, I really just wanted to change songs. Like, I mean, you can run to me if you want, but whatever. So then the light changes, and she's like, like in a diagonal. She wasn't even in front of me. It's a diagonal thing, just like, gotcha. Okay. So that was the first kind of instances where I was like recording this shit. Another woman, I was going from train station to train station. I'm like, oh, this woman seems really entitled. Like, she's pretty, and she really wants everyone to know it, and she wants, like, I can just stop in front of anyone and they'll walk around me. And I'm like, I don't know you, and I don't give a fuck. I'm going to work. I'm not even trying to hit on you. This isn't a bar. This is a train station. Like, get the fuck out of my way. And she did the thing where I'm just walking straight towards you. And then I think I actually ran into her, and she was like, what the fuck's going on? I thought I could get away with this. So that's a couple women that did it. They, I guess, just feel entitled. Here's another woman's story. This is when I was riding my bike. This is way after I already knew all this shit. So I'm riding my bike to this same area, Shinsaibashi, which has relatively open streets, open sidewalks. So the fact that anyone's running into you is kind of a joke. Like, they're doing it on purpose, pretty much. So this woman's doing the thing like, I'm not looking. And then I think I rang my bell extremely loud as soon as she got up to me. I was like, I think I yelled like, hey, watch where you go, like in English too. Like, just snapped at her, and she gave me this look like, yeah, I know, I was trying to run into you. This sounds crazy, though, if you're like, yeah, I'm snapping at women as they're like pretending not to see me. But it's just part of life here, at least in Osaka. I don't know about the fucking countryside of Japan. So now let's get to men. Let's see. I think there's two main things I remember from men. One guy, once again, I'm walking home, and this is like an empty side road. Like, there's no reason he should even be close to running into me. And my thing is, I'm walking straight, and I'm a rather large guy. So if you fucking run into me, that's on you. Like, it's like me running into a telephone pole and going like, "What the fuck?" Like, I'm giant. This guy happened to be short. There's not a lot of short men in Japan. Most, I mean, obviously everyone's average height. And then there's a lot of taller guys, and taller guys, they're not gonna do this shit in general. So this guy was with his girlfriend. I guess he felt. Sorry, they're doing construction. I'm not constantly farting. So this guy was with his girlfriend, and I guess he felt like, I don't know. He felt. Hold on, what's the term? I guess he had like low self-esteem because he was short. So and it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, he's gonna run into me. But he's with his girlfriend, and they're like holding hands, I think, or he's trying to. I think he was like trying to put his arm up around her, like, but he couldn't because he was so short. I'm like, oh, I think he's gonna run into me, and I'm like up against the wall as close as possible, just walking straight. If he hits me, once again, that's on him. And he like crosses the fucking street with the girl and slams. Whoa, fuck! Slams into my shoulder. It was so aggressive. It actually hurt. Like, I was shocked that he would have done it that hard, and it made me laugh because I didn't know how to handle it. I'm like, I'm way bigger. I could literally just pummel you. But he knows he's Japanese and he's in Japan, so that's never gonna happen. But I was just thinking, one of these days, if I get ran into like that and I'm in a different mood, I mean, you're gonna get your face beaten in front of your tall girlfriend. Like, why would you do that, man? But he knows, or he's hedging his bets. Oh, this guy's not gonna do anything. But I just thought that was so stupid. Like, I'm literally just walking home and you feel insecure about yourself and your taller girlfriend, and you gotta, I guess, try to prove that you're tough. Come on. Don't do that shit. Okay. So then here's another one. I don't know about this guy's height. This was at night. I'm just drinking my beer, walking down the Shotengai, trying to get more beer. And he's also coming with his girlfriend. And they cross in front of me. They're coming towards me. They cross in front of me. And I'm like, that's weird. He didn't run into me. I felt my spidey senses were tingling. I felt he was going to run into me. I'm like, that's weird. So I'm just taking more swigs of beer. And then he crosses back and slams into me. I was like, what's going on? Like, did you chicken out? And then your girlfriend's like, you piece of shit, you better run into this foreigner. Like, what the fuck happened? He crossed, and then I was like, oh wow, he didn't do it. I'm shocked. I was feeling it, and then he just came back and ran into me. And I think that was the last of like the recording, like the information gathering. But fucking, once again, if you come to Japan, be prepared. People will just run into you. And it might be an Osaka thing, I don't know. And people say maybe it's a big city thing, but I've been to New York twice, and I don't remember getting ran into. But then again, I wasn't collecting data on that shit back then. So it could be a big city thing. But I think there's a lot of things that add up to Japanese inability to walk, let's say. I think there's a lot of factors. Big city could be part of it. I think low self-esteem is also a huge part of it. And people always say, oh, even Japanese, oh, he's just drunk. Don't worry about it. Like, my girlfriend's always getting mad at me, like, oh, this guy's just drunk. Don't get upset about it. That's not a great excuse. Are Japanese people drunk all the time? 100% of Japanese people are drunk 100% of the time? Like, that's not a good excuse. And even when I'm drunk, I don't run into people. Maybe if I'm intoxicated and I can't walk, like I'm stumbling, yeah, I'll fucking maybe run into someone. But if you're just drunk, you're not going to hit anybody. And it's not a foreigner, it's not an anti-foreigner thing either. since I know this information, I like purposely, oh, that Japanese guy's gonna do it to that other Japanese guy. It happens with bicycles too. I'll get to that in a minute. So I remember this was at my last apartment. I was walking through the Shotengai, and in front of me is this Japanese couple, and they're walking the same direction as me. Coming towards us is like an old man, and I'm like, something's stirring. Like something's about to happen. And the old man's like hobbling down the road, like, ooh, I'm so old. It's so shocking that I can even walk. And this couple just goes, ooh, cafe. Slams in the old man, slams into him. And he's like, they don't even notice it. That's what's so weird about this shit. They didn't say, oh, I'm so sorry. They didn't say, like, get the fuck out of my way, you old piece of shit. We gotta go to the cafe. They just didn't even recognize that he was slammed into. They didn't acknowledge it. I don't understand this shit. Once again, if I walk into a fucking telephone pole and then like bounce off and then keep going, like that's fucked up. If you run into someone and you just keep walking, that's fucked up. So I've always thought of that story. It was just hilarious. Like they just didn't give a shit. It's just cafe. What? There. And here's another thing. I've coined this term. Sorry. I'm a little sick. Been slammed into too many Japanese lately. They coughed in my. They opened my mouth and cough. They coughed directly into it. Okay. So. All right, I'm back. So, anyways, I coined this term sidewinders. I don't know if it even makes sense, but a lot of people here I've noticed they'll be like looking to the right and they just walk left. Like it's so bizarre. Like people be like staring at some building to the right and not look and just without looking they just go left, or maybe vice versa. But it's just so weird. Like I don't understand why you would do that. That's another thing. If some Japanese person is watching this, can you maybe explain that? Okay, so now let's get into bicycles. Like it always comes back to Japan, and it's like it's your culture. Obviously there's bicycles in America, but you guys are so proud of your bike riding, and you can just ride a bike in our country. You don't need a car. It's so convenient and easy and cheap. But nobody can fucking ride a bike here. And once again, it's not just foreigners getting rammed into by bikes. I see this shit all the time. Two people, bicycle, and they just stop. And there's always someone like, I don't know what to do next. I almost got ran into, but I don't know what to do. And then this is what pisses me off too. Usually the person whose fault it was for almost running into someone, they do the little head nod. Yeah. How about you fucking say you're sorry? How about you, or watch where you're fucking going? But it's all the fucking time. It's these fucking bikes. And I understand that it's crowded and you can't always be worried about running into people, but it's just like, it's all the time. And it's your culture. That's what I always harp on. In Japan, we ride bikes. You don't know how to ride a bike. In Japan, we don't cross the street on red. Yes, you are, and you're not looking. Look before you cross the street. No, we don't have to. It's our culture. And then you're fucking getting into accidents. How about you fucking learn how to ride a bike? That's what pisses me off. You're an adult. You don't know how to ride a bike? Yes, I've been riding a bike for 30 years. Can you not run into me? Oh, no, I will. I'll run into anybody I want to. It's my God-given right as a Japanese citizen to fucking run into people on my bike. But, yeah, I mean, if you ever come here, just be ready. They're not gonna not hit you. And they don't give a fuck when they do. So, yeah, I mean, just be ready for that. Here's another thing. I don't think this is Japanese. This is probably an American thing too, but You're in Japan, so I've noticed it here, and I just associate it with Japanese people. They'll just walk out in front of you with their fucking kid in the stroller. Like I'm riding my bike fast, and I'm leading with my baby. You won't run into a baby, will you? I don't give a fuck about your baby. I hope I run into your baby, and I hope I kill him. Because you shouldn't have this attitude of, well, I just won't look at all. I won't even pretend to care about my child. You will take care of my child. You won't run into my child for me. Fuck you. If you see a bike, if you see a person walking, if you see a car, don't stick your stroller out in front and hope nobody hits you. Fuck you. Do a little parenting. And that leads to the next subject of fucking Japanese kids just like, I'm not paying attention to where I'm going, and the parents are just like, well, if I do anything that would involve doing parenting, and I'm definitely not gonna parent my child, I'm not gonna raise my child. Fucking, I remember one mom, she was pushing her stroller, and I think her, like, I don't know, toddler was just like, I can barely walk. Thanks, mommy. And this is in Osaka. It's a giant city, like this, full of people. How about you do this practice at home, not where there's cars and bikes and people coming around? And I remember I'm riding my bike and I almost ran into this kid because the mom was just like, I don't want to have to take responsibility at all. How about you fucking put him in the stroller? How about you hold his hand? Don't just let him fucking toddle. Is that even a verb? Toddle out? How about you fucking... people just won't run in. I'll be a burden to the rest of society. People just not hit my child. Fuck you. Fucking... And it's not the kid's fault. Like, I'm not saying this piece of shit baby can't walk either. But it's like this mom isn't doing her parently duty to helping her kid walk. She's just like, well, fucking, we don't, as a society, we don't look where we're going. So people just watch out for us. So that would be great if I was in the news, though, just for slaughtering infants and toddlers. This is fucking gaijins on the rampage, just fucking running babies down and shit. And then I'm in the news. He was gonna run into me in the future. This is a preventative measure. To be honest, there's not a whole lot of funny stories about this, so it's mainly an educational video that I had to get out. It's just been eating away at me for like years, but it's just like I never actually made a video about it. So, yeah, just be prepared if you come here. You're gonna get ran into. Nobody gives a shit. They're not gonna say sumimasen. They're not even gonna acknowledge you most of the time. So it's gonna happen. Get used to it, and then go back to America and don't run into people like we don't do in America. All right. Okay, so I was thinking about not releasing this video, just deleting it, because I was like, you know what, it's kind of stupid, and nobody's going to care about, like, oh, Japanese can't walk. Like, nobody's really going to give a shit about that, or even probably believe me. But then I had another fucking experience with this. Like, I've only been outside twice today, and I've had 3 times where people couldn't walk or ride their bike. So I go to the store to get some tea, because it's actually the only reason I'm still in Japan is I really like some of their tea. So I go to the store and I'm waiting in line, and I hate shopping in Japan. I might even make a video on that. I can't stand it. It's always a bad experience. So I'm waiting in line, and then it's like me here, and then here is like directly the aisle, because it's a pretty narrow aisle. And I'm waiting to pay, or waiting to check out, and just from behind me I feel something like pushing me, like I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like looking over, and this happens all the time, and I forgot to mention it before, so I gotta mention it now. Fucking people here, they never ever say excuse me. they will just push you with their cart until you let them through. I've never heard a Japanese person say, "Excuse me." Like, so this lady is just like, just hitting me with her cart, and then like, I guess eventually she just goes like, "Oh, I guess I can't go through this man and the wall." So she eventually goes around. Like, there's so much space to my left, but for some reason, this happens to me so much. Even outside, there'll be a pole. I remember there was a pole, and some guy, like, he just had to get between me and the pole. He couldn't possibly go to my right. And then he just, like, slammed into me to get through the pole, I guess. And then he looked back and he's like, "Yeah, I did that." I'm like, "Listen, I'm trying to fix something on my phone. This personal problem of yours doesn't bother me at all." Like, they always catch you in the weirdest moods where you're like, if this was another day or another different mood, I would really just hit you or something, or take my belt off and just whip the shit out of you. Do you think you can walk through solid objects? Are you retarded? But like, so this fucking lady is just, I really don't understand this shit, and it's just like, once again, it just doesn't stop. If it was like a one time thing, I've been here maybe 8 years. If it was like once every 8 years, I'd be like, okay, this one person's having a bad day, or this one person maybe doesn't know how to walk, but it's fucking every day. There's more stuff I could get into about this subject, but it's really not even fun. It's just I guess, a personal gripe, but it's like, I really wish people could walk or ride their bikes here. So, I guess I'll end the video here. That's all I wanted to say, is it just literally never stops. So, alright.